static friction. A body is placed on a rough surface or a body is placed on the surface of another body, and an external force Fex is acted towards right. As shown in the figure, external force will be acting in this direction on this body. Fex is the external applied force which is applied on the body to move the body. Due to application of external force Fex towards right, an opposing force Fs comes into play in the opposite direction on the surface in contact of two bodies. This is the opposing force or static friction, and Fex is the external force, external applied force. And this is the body which is at rest. This is the body which is at rest. Let Fs be the static friction or frictional force or opposing force acting Fs be the static friction acting on the surface in contact, on the surface in contact of a body placed, static friction acting on the surface in contact of a body placed on a rough surface. This is the rough surface on the diagram on which the body is placed. This is the rough surface of the body. Surface in contact of a body placed on a rough surface, which comes into play in the opposite direction. Fs acts in the opposite direction of Fex, so which comes into play in the opposite direction of the applied external force Fex, applied external force Fex, such that Fs is greater than Fex. As the body is at rest, static friction Fs acts towards left and external force Fex acts towards right. And in this case, Fs is greater than Fex, and the body will be at rest, and the actual motion has yet not started. So now we can write down the definition of static friction. The static friction is the opposing force. Static friction is the opposing force that comes into play. Static friction is the opposing force that comes into play when one body tends to move over the surface of another, but the actual motion over the surface of another due to application of an external force, but the actual motion has yet not started. Static friction is the opposing force that comes into play when one body tends to move over the surface of another body due to application of external force, but the actual motion has yet not started. Fs, static friction, acts towards left, and Fex is acted, external force is acted towards right, and Fs is greater than Fex, means static friction is greater than the applied external force, so that the body will be at rest. The actual motion has yet not started. due to application of this external force, because Fs is greater than Fex and the body will be at rest. The actual motion has yet not started. The body will be at rest or tends to move and Fs acts in the opposite direction of static friction. Fs acts in the opposite direction of applied external force Fex.